Hello and welcome to LinkedIn Live. I'm doing the fall of all-in-one, why best-in-class tech now leads construction. My name is Nick Blair and I'm with Bangert Inc. Let's dive straight into it. So 3 things I want to cover today. The first is how modern APIs are reshaping software from the ground up. We'll catchy title. Second is why they eliminate the need for all-in-one systems. And the third is what these changes mean for you in your next 6 months. I've got a little bonus point at the end where we're actually going to look at some tech stacks that real companies use that they've posted their tech stack on LinkedIn. So I think it's fair for us to go take a peek at them. The most foundational piece of information that we need here is what is an API, right? It stands for Application Programming Interface, and it is kind of the basis for this entire conversation we're about to have and why this reality has come about where we don't need to look for all-in-one solutions. We can actually use best-in-class solutions made by different software companies. So let me show you this real quick. It's a really helpful image to understand APIs. This is from a company called Postman. They are API experts. I know that we use them internally for different things that we need to do. The Postman logo there is in the bottom right. So I am stealing this image from them, but it's a common analogy that's used. They say, think of an API as a waiter. So your application, you are the customer at a restaurant, and you look at a menu and you tell a waiter what you want, the food that you want. Then the waiter goes and talks to a chef and tells the chef what you want, and then brings you your food afterwards, right? That's essentially what APIs do in software. So they help databases and applications talk to each other. It does that messaging back and forth for you. Whereas in the past, that communication really wasn't possible. You've used APIs before a lot. Usually login interfaces are built with APIs. So there are internal APIs that are used. Facebook uses a ton of them internally just to connect different parts of their system. But then there's also more external APIs where they will actually have different applications talk to each other. So you're constantly using APIs if you're using software at all. Being here on LinkedIn, I know you're using it. I'm using a different streaming service here called StreamYard. I know they're making use of APIs to make this happen right now. So APIs are all around us. Another way you could think of APIs is think about it as a language. It's not a great analogy when you actually get down into what is an API, but I like to think of it as a language that software speak to each other. So APIs, application programming interface, how do things talk to each other? How are different technologies going to communicate with each other when they're built on fundamentally different systems, right? They're built from the ground up on different systems. So that's API. That's really all you need to know about APIs. I did a deep dive the other day to make sure we had all our bases covered, and I decided that's probably all the information that you need. So my second point is why these APIs eliminate the need for all-in-one systems. But I want to take a step back because when I say the fall of all-in-one, or a lot of times I like to say all-in-one is dead, right? The all-in-one construction tech solution is dead. I don't know if it was ever actually alive based on my conversations with folks. So real large contractor here in St. Louis that I know you know the name of. I was talking to them about their tech stack, and they use one of these all-in-one solutions. And I was asking them about their experience with it, and they said, well, yeah, it's actually kind of a Frankenstein at this point of all these other different solutions that we've added to it, right? And so is it the promise that we were promised, right? Are we getting the reality of what we were promised? Let me show you this post from AJ Waters. It's kind of a thought leader here on LinkedIn when it comes to construction tech. He says, there are still so many point solutions out there filling gaps and being bolted on because the all-in-one platforms don't cover it. Then, not long after, the big platforms acquire the frequently bolted on systems to fill that gap. But as we all know, it never actually gets integrated into the tech stack. It's still just a bolt-on sold on the same receipt. So we see this reality where, yeah, there are acquisitions different partners and different software companies are buying solutions that fill gaps that they have in their software. That's very common. Everyone is doing that. But if it's wrapped up into an all-in-one solution, but you still need a different login and it still kind of talks to the other software, is it actually all-in-one or was it just on the same receipt? So whether or not all-in-one ever existed, I think is up for debate. But for now, all-in-one is truly dead and being replaced by best in class. So now that we have systems that can communicate with each other through APIs, we can actually utilize them to their fullest extent. So let's pause for a second. If you're a general contractor or even a subcontractor, you'll get this picture. But imagine that your GC speaks one language, like English, right? And all the subcontractors speak different languages, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, and you literally can't talk to each other. It's not an effective system, right? But if everyone is using the same language, then you have communication. So when our applications are communicating with each other, we can actually get full use out of them. In the example about the general contractor, if everyone spoke different languages, it's probably easier for me as the GC to try and figure out how to do all those trades than communicate in another language with somebody who does that trade, right? And so that's where you get the all-in-one. So the big win here with APIs is that it allows these bolted on or these one-off solutions to become very usable. And they become integrated into our technology stack or the package of software that we have at our company. And so this is really important as technology and as software is developing at the speed that it's developing right now. So I'm telling you for a fact, and I've said this on LinkedIn Live before, anyone who tells you they know where tech is going to be in 5 years, without a doubt, is a liar. It is developing faster than we've ever seen it developed in the past. And you can look around on LinkedIn and you're probably getting direct messages from salespeople for solutions that you never heard of because they're popping up like crazy. A lot of them could be pretty darn good. A lot of them are newer and actually tested out, and there's great solutions out there. But these point solutions where people specialize in a particular area, they do one thing really, really well, and they can release that software out into the world. But now that software can plug into your ERP. Now that software can talk to your project management software because of APIs. That can only happen, though, if you have a ERP or a project management software that utilizes APIs. So imagine you go to a conference, you're talking to a vendor. It's a credit card system that blows your mind. You didn't know it could be so simple to manage your expenses through corporate cards. And then you realize that they don't integrate with your ERP. So you're going to have to do manual work on the back end anyway to use that new software, right? It's an unfortunate reality that some people find themselves in. But ideally, if you're looking at your tech stack, you're looking at a modern tech stack, you're looking to build out your systems in the best way possible, in the most strategic way possible, you're going to get applications that can actually communicate with each other when they need to communicate with each other. So again, you're that GC, your tech stack is that GC, and you're getting best-in-class subcontractors to build your project out. And your project is the back office, right? So the next piece I want to talk about is what these changes mean for you in the next 6 months. So best in class is winning by a long shot. What does best in class winning actually mean for you, though? And what can you do in the next 6 months? I talked to a contractor this morning, and he told me they are super happy being $10 to $20 million a year. The owners are happy. It's a long-standing St. Louis contractor, commercial contractor. Everyone's just happy with where they're at, and they don't want to change anything. And they're not trying to grow. They're not trying to change their tech stack at all. And I said, hey, more power to you. That sounds great. If that's you and your company, this is not a message for you. If you're looking to grow, if you're looking to improve, if you're hungry for improvement, not just change, but improvement, then I got a message. So 3 points that I'm going to talk about kind of add on a fourth at the end. I like these bonus little add-ons. You got to do things in threes and then do a bonus add-on. So the first thing I'd recommend you do, if you're looking at your technology today and you're like, man, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to make changes, but we want to make changes. First thing you can do is just look at the market. Just look at what is out there right now. I bet you would be surprised at how many solutions there are for different problems you may have that already exist, that are already out there. You're going to get some big benefits from doing this. One of the biggest benefits, I think, though, is that you're going to have a problem in your company. You're going to see how someone else solved it, and you may be able to solve it on your own. You may be able to steal some best practices from software companies without even buying their software. That's a pretty big win, right? So if you're going to a conference, go talk to the vendors. As a vendor who goes to conferences, I love it when people come up and just start a conversation with me. They're always fun conversations. But even if you don't want to talk to a salesperson, there is no risk to using Google. There is no risk to doing a Google search or hopping on ChatGPT to just figure out what's out there in the market right now. I think it'll be a very, very valuable thing for you. So go look at the market. That's my first piece of advice if you don't know where to start. I will answer questions at the end here. So if you have any, you can start dropping them in the comments. Number 2, analyze your current tech stack and look specifically for connection points. Look specifically for places that your pieces of technology do or should communicate with each other. So you're looking at places where they already communicate or places that they should communicate with each other. So your accounting system and your project management system, your accounting system and your expense management system. A lot of accounting systems utilize AP processing software these days. So look at all the tech you currently have, your estimating software. Look at all the tech that you currently have. Try and figure out how do they communicate with each other. 2 dead giveaways for needed communication, right? If you are doing manual double entry is a place where a connection probably would be a good thing to have. It is very common, very, very common for me to talk to contractors and their superintendents do Excel timesheets, and they send those Excel timesheets into the accounting staff, into the payroll staff, and they have the Excel timesheet on one screen, and on their other screen, they've got their payroll software, and they manually key in the information from one into the other. We know that fat fingering numbers is a problem. Errors get made. Very commonplace for people to need a little bit more integration, right? Another place that you can look, kind of a flag that might pop up that you need some more communication is, are you printing multiple reports and Frankensteining them together in Excel, or printing multiple reports and kind of looking from report to report to try and make decisions or try and glean some insights? So double manual entry and multiple reports that we're trying to analyze at the same time might be good indications that you've got a situation where you can use a little bit more integration, or at least where we're identifying those connection points. So look at the market first, then look for your connection points in your tech stack, because that's going to set you up for the third point, which is identifying weak points in connectivity that you currently need in your systems. So it's very likely that you have a few pieces of tech that you've had for a really long time. For many people, it's their legacy accounting system or their legacy ERP that they've had for 20 years, or maybe they've only had it for 3 years, but it's been around for 30 years, right? They got this legacy piece of equipment or this legacy software that can't actually communicate with other softwares. It doesn't use APIs in any way. Again, reviewing what we talked about earlier, how's that going to hold you back? Well, when that new piece of technology comes out in the future, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it if you don't have the correct pieces in place in the first place. So look at which of your pieces of technology are the biggest roadblocks for moving forward with your whole system, and how are we going to set ourselves up to make use of technology as it comes on the scene or as we learn about it. So looking at connection points, looking at weak spots allows you to build a strategy around how you want your technology to interface with each other. So then when you go out into the marketplace, finally, you can make a decision a lasting decision, a strategic decision, rather than buying the piece of software that had the salesperson that made you feel the best, right? Because that's not exactly what we want to do. Fourth and final point, this is kind of my bonus point. What can you do in the next 6 months? And I cannot emphasize this enough. So please hear me out. The biggest problem I see contractors run into by far, and if you look at LinkedIn thought leadership around this, you will see people pounding this same exact point. The biggest problem is people-based change management. So if your team is not managed effectively, if they are not inspired to make changes, if they do not want to make changes, just a few people can ruin the whole process and make what would otherwise be a really successful, cool software implementation a failure. And those failures can be very expensive and can definitely make everybody else on the team gun shy. So even the most staunch, I love the way I do it right now, I'm never going to change type people, when you start to have conversations with them as a leader, you might be surprised that they're actually not as stringent on that take as you would think, right? There might be some fear in there. They might fear that they're going to be replaced. And that's a conversation you can have to support them and encourage them. They might fear that they're not going to be able to learn a new software. And you could talk to them about how we know it's going to take a while and we're excited to support you as you learn it. Maybe people need a little incentive, right? Your project managers probably get bonuses when they do their job well. So why not give a bonus to your accounting staff if they implement a new ERP successfully? If you look at Gary V's stuff, Gary Vaynerchuk's stuff on LinkedIn, he'll talk about how every leader should know each of their employees and know what motivates them. So for some people, it's work-life balance. For some people, it's money. So maybe you have conversations with everybody on your team doing a new implementation. And you say, hey, what do you want to see? What do you want if we successfully complete this project? And maybe Julie wants $1,000 before Christmas for Christmas gifts. And maybe Scott wants 3 extra vacation days next year. Thinking through the people on your team just as much as you're thinking through the software is going to pay huge dividends. So that's the advice that I have. Now we're going to look at 2 tech stacks, sort of tech stacks that have been posted here on LinkedIn. So the first is Chris Hoffman. Chris, on Veterans Day, I want to say thank you for your service to our country. Chris is a great thought leader. If you don't follow him, you should. And he runs Hoffman Brothers, his family company, and he does a really good job at it. So we could see here, this is not necessarily his tech stack, but it is the vendors he recommends. And so there's some tech pieces in there. The ones that I want to point out are ServiceTitan is a piece of technology, probably the best known name in services and home service deployment. So invoicing and scheduling and that kind of stuff, right? And then Sage Intacct, they're using for accounting over there. If we look down a little bit further, you can also see some agentic AI tools. What are they using for payroll, right? So it's helpful to look at what other people are using if they're willing to tell you what it is. Call up your friends, ask them what they're using. But I know for a fact that ServiceTitan and Sage Intacct have a great integration, right? And so I could tell here that Chris's tech stack is, at least in that way, being built with some intentionality and some connectivity. Next and final tech stack we're going to look at is another Chris Cosney over at Cosney Wagner. And he actually he talked explicitly about his tech stack here, and he posted his tech stack. Looks like they got Sage Intacct, Procore, Microsoft 365, TimberScan, Belixo, right? It's kind of a deadly combination that they got going on there. All systems that integrate, all systems that talk to each other, more modern systems that use those APIs. And he has some good advice here. So I'm going to end this call with Chris's advice to us. So he tells us, if we're looking at our tech stack, we should understand how each connects to the other one, because integration is a huge plus. So if we can get an automatic API integration, it's going to be a huge plus for us in our software search. Next thing he says, don't buy technology for the sake of technology. When considering adding something new, ask yourself what problem you're trying to solve. Excellent, excellent advice. Third is make sure you don't have any overlap across multiple platforms. So paying for the same thing twice. Sometimes it's unavoidable. I'm going to be totally honest with you. But even when you have overlap, and this is kind of a data engineering thing, sometimes what looks like overlap actually just increases the likelihood that those two apps can communicate to each other. So don't totally write that off. If you see a little bit of overlap, it might be really good overlap to have, right? You might need a customer list over here and a customer list over here. That doesn't mean that they're overlapping with each other. It just means both systems need to have a customer list within them. And hopefully that customer list can update each other, or those two customer lists. And then 4, never stop tweaking. So once you get complacent, you'll fall behind. I think it's a great piece of advice. It's a great thing to end on here. We want to progress. We want to move forward. If you're that type of person, I would love to have a conversation with you. If you want to just nerd out about tech stacks and what's in the marketplace, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk about that. If you're ready to update your accounting system, you're ready to look at Sage Intacct, please reach out to me as well. You can message me on LinkedIn. You can go to bangertinc.com and schedule something with Justine or Brett or myself. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you at the next one.